Blueberry muffins are great for the beginner baker. They don't require a lot of time, effort, or even fancy equipment. Here are the ingredients you need, but don't worry, I'll include a link below that will include full nutrition information as well as more details. Okay, this is a really simple recipe to do. Just preheat that oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. You're going to need one of these muffin tins that will hold 12 muffins. And I recommend using the cupcake liners. You don't need to if it's a nonstick pan, but it's easier to remove and just easier cleanup overall. Okay, this is a very simple recipe to do. In a large bowl, we're going to have 2 cups of flour, 300 grams. We're going to remove 2 tablespoons roughly of flour to coat our blueberries in, which is a cup of blueberries or 160 grams. Try not to throw your bowls around. In a separate bowl, we're just going to toss these around, and the only thing this does is just help suspend them a little bit more in the batter so they don't all just sink to the bottom. If you skip this step, that's all that's going to happen. It's going to be okay. You can use fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried blueberries here. And feel free to add up to a half a cup more. Okay, we're going to set that aside and we're going to come back to our flour, and we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder or 8 grams and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which is 2.5 grams. If you have self-rising flour, you can use it in place of the salt, baking powder, and flour. We're going to mix that together briefly, and then we're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of sugar or 150 grams. And you can add an additional 1/4 cup of sugar if you like a more sweet muffin, which is about 50 more grams. Stir this together until it's well combined, and then we're going to move on to the wet ingredients. This is a really simple recipe. Next, we're going to put in the 2 eggs, which is 100 grams. Then we're going to add in some vanilla. I'm eyeballing it here, but you're going to put in a teaspoon to 5 milliliters. You can pop in another teaspoon if you really like the vanilla. Then finally, we're going to add in some oil and some milk. You want 1/3 of a cup of oil, which is 80 milliliters, and 3/4 cup of milk, which is 180 milliliters. You can use buttermilk here if you like. You can use full fat milk or fat-free milk. You can even use lactose-free milk. Doesn't matter. Mix this all up, and you just want it until it's just combined and you no longer see any flour. Once you get to that point, you're going to fold in your blueberries, and that is all you have to do to make this recipe. Literally, it takes maybe 5 minutes start to finish. It takes just maybe a couple more minutes than it does to make the mix that comes in a bag, and it tastes absolutely delicious. So I recommend when you're learning how to bake, muffins are the way to go. You don't have to dirty up any extra equipment. You can use literally just minimal stuff if you're not trying to film it for other people. And it doesn't take long at all. You do not want to overmix this batter. It takes 30 to 60 seconds, truly. Next, you're going to just spoon it into your cups, and you can take them out and just put a little bit in and then put them back into the tray, and that will help them from collapsing like some of the muffin tin liners can do if you get the really cheap ones. Or you can just spoon it all in directly into it. You want to divide this as evenly as possible into each of the muffin tins, and if not, it's not a big deal if one is a little bit overfilled and one isn't. I will show you that one doesn't have a lot in it, and if you do make a mess, just clean it up so you don't get any burnt bits. If you see the one that's really overfilled, I guarantee you it's going to end up touching the one next to it. It's just going to happen. Bake this for 16 to 19 minutes or until golden brown. If it's a frozen blueberry, you might have to add an extra 5 minutes. When you bring these out of the oven, make sure you let them sit a few moments before you try to remove them to the cooling rack. That blueberry can burn you. Let's look at one of these up close. It's absolutely golden brown and delicious. And I hope you really enjoyed this recipe. Visit us at jacksonjob.com for more. And as always, happy baking.